so my parent friend. So we are thinking about why people challenge books is because people listen to rumors and they only think of their opinion and not others.
What do you think about that?
Well, from a teacher's point of view, I think that we should be able to challenge books because they're books that we don't want our students to read.
Being an author, I think we should be able to write anything like we want to and publish it, just because although some people don't like it, they should just not read it and not like blame everyone else for what the book has to say.
As a student, I'd like to add to that, since we're students, we should be able to read what we want to with the parents' permission, possibly.
But there are some things that we don't want at our school that kids could be reading about and inappropriate content and things that we don't want our students knowing right now.
I agree to what you say, but even though there's inappropriate content in books, that doesn't mean that everyone, like the whole nation, shouldn't be able to read it.
To add to that, I would say that's true because if students read inappropriate books, they might think that that's an okay thing to do when they grow up.
I agree with the fact that there are some things in the books that we may write that may not be suitable for children or just any students of any age. So I do agree in that aspect that parents should decide what their kids read and that teachers decide what's at their school.
I'd like to add that to that comment. I agree with her because, like she's saying, although there's like a lot of teachers or parents don't like the books that students are reading, that's kind of their opinion of what they read, even though some books have inappropriate content.
To add to that, I don't think that's actually true because if like students do stuff like that in the books, it could turn out to like people going to jail or killing other people, which would turn out to be
As to yes, that is a valid point, but as children, our parents should be able to tell us this is wrong to do, so we would understand that we shouldn't do this at all.
And then at our school, there are some books that we don't want on our shelves and we don't want the children to have access to know at this time.
Although there is, you guys do want some books off your shelves, that's the way that children kind of learn what's in the real world, so they can experience what they have to like kind of live in when they grow up.
To add to that, students might actually take like what you said, they might take it into a different point of view. They might think of it as a good thing instead of a bad thing. So about that, they might actually want to do it instead of not wanting to do it.
I feel that's true because a lot of students take books, and parents too, they take books out of perspective to what their children and what they're reading, and so they, instead of following what the book does, they kind of change it to their own perspective.
Carla, what do you think? What do you have to say about everything that we've been talking about?
Well, I understand that mostly they don't read books because it has like inappropriate content and you guys don't want them to do it.
Even though it's a valid point, I feel that the authors are trying to show like kids to like see what other kids are doing to other people, like basically they're bullying or doing bad things. So I feel that sometimes it's a good thing that they write books like that, so it can show them that if you do bad things, it could lead to very serious stuff.
Even though that's a valid point, I feel that there are some books that are not necessarily meant for the targeted age group, and that they're not really appropriate for the age group that the authors are targeting.
That's actually is true, because if like they read like maybe actually people might think that the author is going for that age group, maybe it's for a different age group than what the other people think. So I think it's the author himself who chooses which age group.
I have to say that I agree with that. I found that teachers have found that yes, these are valid, that books shouldn't, maybe these types of books shouldn't get on some shelves. And I agree with parents how they say that yes, maybe these books can teach us our kids lessons, but they can also take our kids to a downfall.
I agree with that statement because at one point if you read the book and they're trying to show you that like not to bully you or anything, at one point it would happen because it's like there's probably some other facts in the book later on that shows from a different person's point of view of what they would do.
Like you guys are talking about bullying, there's books about like segregation, and it's just, although it has some gruesome parts, that's kind of just history of our nation, kind of. And so that's a way of children learning about those times.
That made me think that it's actually true that it's a good thing that people write, that authors write those books, because it's going to happen to them sooner or later in everyday life. So if they figure about now, they'll know what to do in the future when it actually happens.
I agree, but I feel like right now a lot of kids are reading these books and not taking them into a correct perspective, and they're taking them out of content and not necessarily with these bullying books. They're kind of learning, okay, that is okay, and not necessarily that it's a bad thing.
I feel that we are writing these books to more bring awareness to these subjects that parents may not talk about with their kids, like bullying.
The reason I think authors write about this stuff is so when students grow up and like get into the real world and have a job to support their families and everything, I think the books are just getting them ready to support their life and everything, just to know about what the real world is like.
I want to add to that me as an adult, if my kid read those books and didn't tell me, or if it happened in the real world with them, I would want them to talk to me about it, because if they didn't and they just went off with their everyday life, it could affect their life dramatically.
I agree with that. If the students do not tell parent or teacher, any adult, then they may not know exactly what they're reading and exactly how to handle it.
What do you think about that, Samantha?
Well, like Isaiah said, it could teach us something about us as adults, as we read a book. I think that would be a good idea, but at one point it could also teach us a few bad things that we might do, probably like maybe doing drugs, because sometimes in a book they will make it a point of view that will say it feels weird, I feel dizzy, it was fun, it was a fun experience, and maybe the kids might do that as adults, and yeah.
Even if that's a valid point, the books that the authors are writing could eventually could help us as we grow up, instead of what our parents or the teachers are, our parents and our teachers are thinking that could bring us down. They end up actually maybe helping us through our lives.
I agree with you, but there's a, like, what if they make up, like, say
they should be monitoring what students are reading.
I agree to that. It's not that we're trying to get kids to do bad things by writing our books with bad things in them. It's more that kids are reading these books without telling anybody, and then that's not really the fault of the books or the fault of the student or the parent.
Even that's a valid point. I feel that it's not really our fault because the kid goes and reads it and maybe doesn't tell us about it. So how are we supposed to know? Because maybe what if they keep the book at home and doesn't say anything, or they keep it at, like they hide it and read it at night when we're asleep. I mean, we don't want to like overwhelm them with watching them every second of the day because they'll feel that they have no freedom and feel like we're bad parents.
Well, since in our generation, there a lot of teachers like kind of tell students to like read 30 minutes each night. I think the parents should like be monitoring what they're reading during those 30 minutes, just to see what, how they're doing, if they're even reading.
That's true, but since kind of like how schools some have homework club, what if they're reading it during that time, and so we think that they're monitoring them because maybe we have work to go to? What if they do that, and so we don't know what they're reading?
Well, I think as a student, we can bring the book home to read it, and then